I taught the new manager who fired me after 10 years of hard work, using budget cuts as an excuse, and trying to ruin my reputation, the lesson of his life. Not only did I get him fired, but I also took his company's biggest client right out from under him. This is my revenge story. My name is Mark. For over 10 years, I was a senior project manager at Axoy Software. When I joined, we were a small team. I literally built this place up with my bare hands. I sacrificed my nights, my weekends, and I laid the groundwork for the company's biggest, most profitable projects. Everything changed 6 months ago when Ben joined as the Director of Strategic Accounts. Ben was a typical politician, with his shiny shoes, expensive watch, and a constant smirk. He didn't know the job, but he knew how to look like he knew the job. From his very first week, he set his sights on my portfolio, specifically on our crown jewel, the DevTech account. DevTech was a monument to my personal success. I found them when they were just a small startup, believed in their potential, and convinced them to use our software. Over the years, DevTech grew into a giant, and they alone accounted for nearly 40% of Axoy Software's total revenue. The CEO of DevTech, Sarah, and I didn't just have a business relationship, we had a friendship built on mutual respect. Ben knew this. In a coffee chat during his first month, he said, "Mark, your plate is full. Transfer the DevTech account to me, and you can take a breather. We'll show management what a great team player you are." I politely declined his offer. "The account has special dynamics, Ben. Sarah prefers to work one-on-one," I said. He didn't like that answer. I saw the flash of anger in his eyes. From that day on, he started undermining me. He'd cut me off in meetings, present my ideas to upper management a week later as his own, and find ways to sabotage my projects. We fought a silent war for 3 months. The more I focused on my work, the more he dug my grave behind my back. He would intentionally delay his replies to my emails, give my team tasks without my knowledge to sabotage my project timelines. I felt something was wrong, but I had a foolish belief that my 10 years of service would protect me. Then the day came. A Friday, at exactly 4:45 p.m. A cold email from HR popped up on my screen. Urgent meeting. When I entered the room, the HR manager was there, sitting across from a smirking Ben. "Mark," the HR manager said, refusing to make eye contact, "as a company, we're going through a restructuring." Ben chimed in, "And unfortunately, given your performance in the last quarter and the stalls on the DevTech account, we've decided to part ways." Stalls? What stalls? He was talking about the sabotage he had created. "We have to include the budget cuts," the HR manager added. I stammered. 10 years. I gave 10 years. It was all I could manage. I'll never forget the look on Ben's face. It wasn't sadness, it was pure triumph. "He understands, Mark," he said, "but this is a business decision. Security will escort you while you clear out your desk. You need to take your personal items and leave the building." I was humiliated, treated like a thief, not a tenure employee. As I put my photos and coffee mug into a cardboard box under the guard's watch, I heard Ben laughing from the next room. That's when I understood this wasn't a budget cut. This was a dirty, planned-out removal so he could steal my biggest client. It was raining when I was kicked out of the building. As I clutched that box, it wasn't anger I felt. It was a cold, sharp vow of revenge that took root. That first weekend was a fog. I wrestled with anger, shame, and the feeling of betrayal. By Sunday, I knew Ben's plan exactly. First thing Monday, 9 a.m. sharp, my phone rang. It was Sarah. Her voice was full of concern. "Mark, are you okay? Someone named Ben called, said you had to go on indefinite leave for a critical family emergency. What's going on with the project presentation?" I froze, phone in hand. That bastard. He didn't just fire me, he lied about me to my client. I took a deep breath. "Sarah, I need to tell you the truth. On Friday, I was terminated from Axoy Software, citing performance issues and budget cuts." The silence on the line was deafening. Then I heard Sarah's voice, ice cold. "What did you say? Performance issues? Did they already forget the record-breaking integration you pulled off last month? Mark, everyone knows we signed that contract because of you." And right then, my revenge plan clicked into place. I asked Sarah, "Do you remember your contract? Section 4, Axoy 7, the key personnel clause, the one that mentions my name as the project manager." Sarah laughed. "Ah, yes, I love the lawyer who made me add that. It states that if the key personnel, meaning you, is removed from the project, DevTech has the right to terminate the contract with 90 days notice without penalty." Ben, Sarah continued, by telling me you were on leave, was actively trying to hide a breach of contract. That is a complete violation of good faith. She paused. Mark, do you have a non-compete? I checked my termination papers. In their arrogant haste, they had forgotten to have me sign the standard non-compete agreement. No, I said, I don't. Sarah's voice was cheerful now. Fantastic. Here's the plan. You go incorporate your own consulting firm right now. We are sending the termination notice to Axoy Software, and we are signing a new contract with your new company. That week was the busiest of my life. On one hand, I was on the phone with my lawyer finalizing the incorporation of my new company. On the other, I was working with Sarah's team on the new project details. No one from Axoy Software called me. Ben was probably expecting me to just disappear quietly. He was deep in preparation for his big presentation, dreaming of the commission he'd get for saving the DevTech account. 2 weeks later, the big day. Ben, along with his team from Axoy Software, had gone to DevTech's headquarters to give his big presentation. He walked into the boardroom with his shiny shoes and most expensive suit, looking smug. But in the room, only Sarah and her 2 lawyers were waiting. Mr. Ben? Welcome, Sarah said, with ice-cold politeness. Before you begin your presentation, we have a small administrative matter to attend to. She turned to her lawyer. Please. The lawyer handed Ben an envelope. This is a formal notice of termination for your contract with Axoy Software effective immediately, due to a breach of the key personnel clause. The look on Ben's face. First confusion, then panic, then pure terror. But Mark, his family emergency, he stammered. Sarah stood up. Lying to us was a critical mistake. Now, if you'll excuse us, we have a meeting with our new project consultant. Right on cue, the door opened and I walked in. I was wearing my new suit, holding my tablet. Ben's eyes looked like they were about to pop out of his head. I walked right up to him, extended my hand. Hello, Ben, I said, smiling. I believe you were here to take over my account. It doesn't look like that went very well. Ben couldn't say a word. The color had drained from his face. The lawyer said, you need to leave the meeting room, Ben. Ben and his team, clutching their useless presentation files, left the room in what must have been the most humiliating walk of their lives. When the door closed behind them, Sarah turned to me. Now, she said, let's get back to work, Mark. The aftermath was a complete unraveling. Axoy Software lost 40% of its revenue in an instant. Their stock plummeted. When the board investigated how this colossal loss happened, Ben's lies and my wrongful termination came to light. Ben was fired for cause just 1 week after I had been, for willfully misleading a client and causing material harm to the company. As for me, my new consulting firm signed a 3-year contract with DevTech at a rate 10% better than what Axoy was getting. In my first 6 months, I billed 5 times what I used to make in an entire year at Axoy. I was my own boss, setting my own hours, and most importantly, working with a client who respected me. Sometimes being unjustly fired isn't an ending, it's a beginning. Ben wanted to get rid of me. Instead, he set me free and authored his own downfall. I learned that the best revenge isn't built on the ruins of others, but on your own success. For more stories of justice and revenge, remember to subscribe and turn on notifications. Has a workplace betrayal like this ever happened to you? Share your own revenge story in the comment section. I read them all. Remember, don't stay for 1 second where you aren't valued. Sometimes one door slamming shut is just the sound of a palace door opening. See you in the next story.